All right, Ross Dellinger. And I just read, by the way, an article from Dan Wetzel from Yahoo about can they just take a deep damn breath and let's get to 12 and test run it for a little bit. Change is coming. This is the tweet from yesterday evening. This is not a surprise, but new models that would grant automatic qualifiers, 10 or 12 total, to the 4 power conferences in a 14-team format with 2 byes. Now, we did get into some of this yesterday, but here are some details from the article with Ross Dellinger from last night that I want to peel out, and we will discuss along the way. Multiple iterations of an automatic qualifying structure granting a varying number of auto bids to the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Big 12, according to those with knowledge of the discussions. It was a 9-hour meeting. The group of 5 retained its singular automatic qualifying spot in several of the models. As many as 12 automatic qualifiers were discussed in a 14-team field. A playoff would include byes to the number 1 and 2 ranked teams, not the top 4. The additional playoff games in a 14-team bracket would presumably be played at home field. Remember, we talked about some of those schools with a bye would like to have that home field, the higher seed based on the current format, and then, of course, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, etc. More automatic qualifying bids could increase the value of the regular season as teams jockey to position for conference standings. AQs also remove, Paul, the subjectivity from the College Football Playoff Committee under fire from what happened with Florida State. And finally, if in fact the high number of automatic qualifiers, whether it's 4, 3, or 2 for particular conferences or all of them, may remove some of the incentive to hold conference championship games, which are played because a bunch of money.
Yes, the top 5 will go over this later, too, in the show where we can kind of compact it again and bookend the show with this. But so if you gave – so this is the, like, nefarious plan, right? If you decide that you have to have 3 automatic qualifiers, the only way to get the Big 12 or the ACC to go along with you is say, like, no, you guys can have them, too. Like, that'll be fine. Because if you do 3, 3, and 3, the 4, that's 12, and you go to 16, then your at-larges would, you'd have 4 at-larges out there, or I guess 3 at-larges in one group of 5.
They're not doing 3, 3, 3, 3.
Yeah.
It's not going to be all equal. It's going to be 4, 4, 2, 2.
Yeah. Or it's going to be a certain number, but 2 conferences get a bigger chunk of the pie no matter what. How many qualifiers they get, automatic qualifiers you get. But, yeah, there's no way
I think it's going to be SEC gets 4, Big 10 gets 4, Big 12 gets 2, ACC gets 2, and then you have the leftover.
If, in fact, that's the case, you cannot then give up more money to the other conferences per year. That would be suicidal.
I just say that to jump in because there's no way they're doing 3, 3, 3, 3. Like, it's not going to be equal. We've established that with all of the conversation around this.
I would not look. If I'm the Big 12 or the ACC and everyone else, I would fight with every weapon I had in my arsenal, of which obviously is nothing. But like
I'm going to shoot you. Do you have any bullets in the gun? No.
Everything I had to go, no, look, I'll give you, if we're only going to have 2, then you can have 3. So it would be 3, 3, 2, 2, and then that gets you to 10, and then you still have 4 to 6 spots that are at large. Now, I do have a theory on the SEC, which the reason I think Greg Sankey did not want automatic qualifiers and said that in there, even though it could theoretically benefit him, is if that you put a minimum on any conference to get in. So if you say that the SEC gets 4 and the Big 10 gets 4, that means that you could never theoretically get your maximum, which is what he would really want. So, because if you are giving away some of the spots that would be at larges to teams that you could get in, especially, like I said yesterday, if one of those last Big 10 teams is 15th and your last team is 12th, but because your 4 are already in and they have to jump them, then, now we have superpowers. We've got a Cold War, right? And so that's why.
And shenanigans that would go with it.
Yeah. And so that's why I think Greg Sankey said no automatic qualifiers, because he is bound and determined like he has said many times, and especially many times recently, that one of these things is not like the other, and one day I'll be able to prove it to you. And if he gets 7 teams in the playoff, he can go, see?
Yeah. Yep.
The day they get 7 teams in the playoff is the day college football's jumped the shark. Because I'm sorry, but the 7th place team does not deserve a crack at the national championship from any damn conference. I'll tell you that right now.
But telling him he can only have 4 means he can't get 5 or 6.
No, I agree with that.
He could reasonably have to field some seasons.
Yeah, it's the same thing we discussed yesterday. Can we let the damn season play itself out? And if you end up with 4 or 5 or whatever, God bless you. But I know that we can't just do that. We can't just let something. Back in the 80s, when the SEC had 4 automatic qualifiers, in the 90s, would the SEC have had 4 automatic qualifiers? It would have been more of the Big 8, or would it have been something else, or would it have been the Pac-12?
In the 80s, there would have been independence.
Now, they've had a great run for over 2 decades now. I get that. I understand the trends, and that's why Graham Coffey, we're going to have him on today in about an hour. But, God, some just in the NFL powerhouse for 20 years, and now they're okay, and now the South Division's better. Let this thing let it run its course year by year. But there we are with that.
I just think that there's a lot more to work out with it. I agree with you on the look. They haven't even done 12 yet. They
That's
don't.
what I'm saying.
They haven't even 12, so they're trying to tweak it already. Now, part of the reason they're trying to tweak it already is that they've painted themselves into this corner by not having a television deal for it. And if they're going to sign a television deal that extends beyond 2025, ESPN wants to know what they're paying for and what you guys want to do.
Yeah, what they're paying for? They're paying for the 12 best teams to play each other and get to a national championship game.
ESPN wants to know what they're paying for in 2026. And they want to know that now because they want to get the deal done.
No, I get that part.
So that's why the powers that be have kind of painted themselves in this corner where now we have to come up with the format's going to be in the future before we've even played out the 12-team format. And if you tell ESPN before you even play the 12-team format and see how that works and see if everybody's happy with it, that's not even good enough. That's just what we came with for now, and we're going to go to 14 or 16 and create other issues on the back end. Man, it's really something, which again stands to the let's just everybody stand up and say what your intentions are for the future of college football and build it in the way that it's going to be, as opposed to pretending no, I care about you, Sun Belt Conference. You're a vital part of what we do.
Yeah. Anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I got plenty because, that's what we do is we talk about all these possibilities. And I get your whole, let's let it settle, but okay, then we better have about a 20-minute show because 90% of it's that kind of stuff, and especially with it being the hot topic right now, that's the whole thing.
No. You misunderstood what I'm saying. I'm talking about the number of teams. I'm talking about the fact that someone would get automatic qualifiers just because of their history and tradition. Just because of what happened last year, what happened 5 years ago, what happened the last 20 years or so. I don't think it should be, that's not, I get the power, the money, the numbers, the schools, and all that. I just don't think that many teams should be given an automatic bye into a championship tournament, earn your way, and not say, well, you're the SEC, you get 4 schools, no matter what they've done in the last 20 years.
Yeah, but you're speaking to a crowd that doesn't understand anything that you're saying, because that's the whole point is they are the SEC, and so they deserve it based on the last 30 years and the 40 years. And it's the Big Ten, too. Let's not just paint them alone. It's the Big Ten as well. Biggest schools, biggest money stacks, and that's why biggest TV ratings. That's what all the signs they're going to point to are as the reasons as to why they deserve, because they will bring more eyeballs, they will bring more money, they will bring more fans, they will bring more of the top teams, and that's their argument.
But this is not a, I get it, but this is about who has the best football teams. And a lot of them have an advantage because of everything you mentioned.
Ideal world.
In an ideal world. But my God, this is about trying to find out who is the best football team, and most of those teams might end up winning it. This is not a money market or an investment account. It's a football game.
I think we're following 2 different sports, honestly, because it's absolutely about money. Yeah. All it's about is money.
Okay.
It
doesn't need to be everything that is decided is about money. I get what you're saying. It is. That doesn't mean I have to agree with it or accept it.
Right, you clearly don't, and that's fine, but I'm telling you, you're wanting this ideal world that doesn't exist, and that is not realistic. I'm sorry, I totally understand where you're coming from, but yeah, it'd be great if we could take a deep breath. It would be great if this happened or that happened, but I'm just dealing with reality, and the reality of the matter is that yeah, it'd be great if you just went off the actual results and all that. But you can't really do that when people are playing different leagues and different conferences, and it's all so subjective. Because how do you prove this team's the 11th best versus this team's the 11th best if they haven't even played? It's very subjective. The whole thing's very subjective. So you're trying to eliminate some of that subjectivity, knowing that that subjectivity more often than not plays into the hands of who? The same two conferences. And that's why when they're swinging their big stick out there, yeah, you hope that some people are fighting back. But this idea of we're just going to acknowledge and say, you know what, Tulane I do think is better than the 5th SEC team, even though they won't fill the stadium the same or they won't bring the same amount of eyeballs. Yeah, ideally, that'd be great. Ideally, everybody would agree, you know what, Tulane is better than shoving a 6th Big Ten team in there. But those are not the people making the decisions most of the time. The TV execs and the playoff committee are, and I don't know that they always think that way. And so, yes, where you're coming from, I totally get and agree with. But after the last 2 years, I think to think that it's ever going to be just all clear-cut and it's going to be the most deserving and it's not going to be about the money is just following a completely different sport than the one that we're actually following, because it is a different way than that, and it's not going the opposite direction. It's going full force into what? Just yesterday, we've got a 12-team playoff, and what are we talking about? 14 and 16. So, and what's the argument about? Automatic qualifiers and how many from this league get to get in. So, yeah, I mean, it's very subjective, and there's no time to breathe because they're already on to the next thing, and that's just the way that it is. And so, yeah, I wish we all could take a deep breath, but obviously that's not going to happen. And to Paul's point about the automatic qualifiers, I think he's right about Sankey. Sankey doesn't want to be limited to 4 because what's he been pounding the table over? We'll leave if we don't get our way. We know why they're not leaving, because they don't have the infrastructure to leave.
Yeah.
They don't have everything set up to be able to leave right now. So maybe that's what they're working on. Maybe that's going to take them a couple years. Maybe that runs through this next contract of the college football playoff, and then the one after that where they do 14 or 16 or whatever it is they're going to decide to end up doing here. But, yeah, it's still a mystery as to what this is all going to look like in the long run, and I think we can all agree that the one thing we wish is that if you're going to do it, say you're going to do it, and just stop teasing that you're going to do it every time something doesn't go your way. If you're going to launch this thing in 6 years, just say it already. But the whole we're going to bark when we don't get our way is getting a bit tiresome, I think, for everybody. And then there might be some that say, well, all right, we'll see you out the door. We're still going to be fine with all the TV ratings we have. Maybe that's what we come to eventually, where you do run people off. But right now, everybody is included. I think that should be a thing that we focus on. And if a Big 12 is getting a 2 automatic bid, I think it's pretty good in the long run. It's a lot better than the alternative that you thought you would probably have. But what I was speaking to more about, like the 3-3 or the 4-4, 2-2 automatic qualifiers, would be a 16 team, obviously, because you can't do that with just 12 teams. You couldn't have all 12 be from the 4 conferences. So, yeah, it would probably be more like a 3-3, 2-2, or however that would work. But in a 16 team, I think it would be more of a 4-4, 2-2, and then you'd have the rest of the at-large. Just trying to circle back to that. But, yeah, it's a political battle that's going to keep on waging when it comes to who deserves what, and there's 2 that are louder than everybody else.
All right, to the NCAA men.